Okay, shalom, shalom, kwam yasha'Allah, koholoyim la, Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakahakodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who were well, that by the Spirit taught us this beautiful truth, and just want to say the water to all the H.I.M and Akhwaf that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes, and commandments of Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai to the best of their ability. This is Yachan Nawach. Just coming at you with another quick lesson, praying that it's edifying by the Spirit. And, just identifying Esau, 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3. Just bringing out lessons on Esau to show who he is, because he has to be revealed before, the coming of the Lord. Now, when you see people that look like this, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're an Edomite or so-called white. Because so-called white people, they are Edomites. But not all of them that look like they're so-called white are Edomites. Let me just qualify that. Because there's no such thing as white or black people. That's not an ethnicity. There's biblical nationalities. The Lord created 18 nations, and everyone has a biblical nationality, and the Lord knows those spirits. He knows exactly who's who. Now with us, we test the spirit. We read the spirit, ask certain questions, you know what I'm saying? Match it up with the scriptures to see if a person, just to see where they are, you know what I'm saying? Because the spirit will reveal to you if whether or not they are Israelites or if they're someone else, so to speak. But you can't go by, of course, skin color. That's a so-called white man thing. That's an American thing, really. The word white as a ethnicity came along in 1681. And, they've been moving with that white and black for so long that people actually really believe that you can be a color. That's an ethnicity, and that's not the case. So so-called blacks are Hispanics and Native Americans, they are Israelites. But they're being called, something else. And those are bywords, according to Deuteronomy chapter 28. And Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, his biblical nationality is Esau. He comes from Abraham, Isaac, and Esau. We come from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the twins that came forth from Isaac and Rebekah. So I just wanted to just point that out real quick before we get into it. So now when you look at these, because they try and make it seem as if so-called blacks are just the most violent people on the planet. And that's just not true. But they control the media, so they can push the stories that they want to make that seem as if that's the truth. When we can actually see the statistics per capita, it is Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, that commits the most violent crimes out here. Now, this is just 2 articles. I'm going to read the headlines, and, we could probably get into a little bit of the story. But these people are bugged out, man. This is, the scriptures talks about stay away from the man that has the power to kill. And that's even for you so-called white people, your own people. Hell, that's even for us so-called black people. We stay away from Jake. We stay away from so-called black people to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? Because them following in behind Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, these people will fuck you up. Now, do they have the power to kill like Esau? And when we say power to kill like Esau, we're talking about the punishment. No, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, when they do crime, they get really punished for it. When Esau does shit, he doesn't get punished like that. He gets a slap on the wrist. He's definitely not going to get the same type of time that our people would get for the same crime. We'll put it that way. So, but this says, Arizona man, he drove around with dead woman's body before tucking her into bed. He then sold her jewelry and stole her Mercedes. And you can look at this guy, man, that's just Edomite shit. The scripture says that Esau came out red, but again, everybody that looks like this, like look at this sheriff in the backdrop. See, they're not white. You can see the stripes in this man's shirt right here. That's white. They're actually red, like how Esau is described in Genesis chapter 25. The scripture says he came out red. And these types of crimes, they commit these kinds of crimes, but they don't throw them on TV like that. Now, had this been a so-called black man, that shit would have been plastered on TV. It's just so happened that we do these lessons and we scroll through news and we see these types of things. So we bring it out and report on it. But Esau, he has to be revealed, man. Let's look at this lady right here. She's not white. She's pinkish to reddish in color. She's about damn near the color of that lipstick that she's wearing. Right? So now let's go. Let me get the other article real quick. Okay, so check this one out. Now again, this could be an Israelite. This could be a so-called black man right here. But you can clearly see his t-shirt is white. See right there? But he's pinkish to reddish in color, like how the scriptures describes Esau. Now let's see what he done. Pregnant woman using ATM outside Target, stabbed in face by a complete stranger, says she had too many wounds to cover with two hands. A pregnant woman was using an ATM outside of the California Target when a man approached and stabbed her. And now the victim has learned that her attacker will be locked away for years. And it's not that many years like that, considering. Cole Klemke was 27 years old when he was arrested for stabbing roughly for the stabbing. Yeah, he was 27. This week he was sentenced to 10 years in state prison. See, that's what we say about, imagine this being a so-called black man doing that. He wouldn't have got no 10 years in prison, man. Come on. Matter of fact, let's get a scripture on that. And all these this scripture right here identifies Esau as well. First off, there's traits. See, we do, the Lord has given us the spirit to see the puzzle of this thing. He gives us all the clues. We put them together. When we bring the clues together to bring the puzzle forth to the people and let you know who this man is. Because first off, he's red. Just like how it says with Esau. He's red. We know that he's red. Right? So now Psalm 73 and let's start from verse 3. It says, "For I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. For there are no bands in their death. Their strength is firm, but their strength is firm. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men." See? They're not in trouble like how other people get in trouble. And especially with so-called blacks. Again, imagine this being a so-called black man and he just stabbed a pregnant woman at an ATM machine and he only gets 10 years. Are you fucking crazy? They'd have gave his ass 300-400 years. A couple of life sentences, man. Verse 6, it says, "Therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain, violence covereth them as a garment. Their eyes stand out with fatness, they have more than heart could wish. They are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily." And that's another thing about them. They speak real pridefully about the things that they've done, the things that they do, especially when it comes to slavery. You see a lot of them, they be talking all kinds of shit about the way that they done Negroes, man, and the so-called Native American Indians. They're proud of it. That's their history, But anyway, let's go back. So she was 25 years old. And just imagine, this is why we say pray without ceasing. The beloved brother Allah, he went into a lesson, like 2 days ago, I think it was, on praying, man. And he was going off into some situations and, where, because you want to pray, man. The Lord can send a spirit of vengeance just like that, man. You want to pray that the Lord have mercy, man. Because she's out at 10 o'clock in the morning. You just at an ATM machine at Target, right? Says she was 4 months pregnant at the time, and she drove to the she drove to the drive-through ATM to withdraw money. The woman apparently, and this is why we tell you women to look around. We tell the men that as well. The scripture says to walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the times because the days are evil. That's why we say, look in your rearview mirrors, man. Don't just be driving and you pulling up to a red light and you can't wait to get there to text somebody. Look in your rearview mirrors, man. See if somebody following you. See if somebody is behind you. See if just a whole look. Shit, motherfuckers in front of you. On the sides of you. Look around. Be circumspect. That's the scriptures, man. Be circumspect. Okay, but it says the woman apparently, she exited her vehicle to reach the machine. How sometimes you may not be close enough. At which point, this guy approached her from behind and stabbed her in the neck, chin, and shoulder. She fell to the ground, and the since convicted defendant kept trying to stab her. But the victim fought back. She kicked him, and he ran away. The woman was able to get back into her car, and she tried to stop the bleeding, but there was too many wounds to cover with two hands, she said. Authorities arrived at the scene, took her to the hospital, and she was released the same day. Okay, so he must have not jugged her up like that, at the ATM machine. There's cameras all over. They They got camera work on your ass at a Target, man. You can forget about it. Says it. They reviewed the video, which occurred in broad daylight. There you go. See. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much it with that. But we can go back to the other article. Let's go back to the other article real quick. Let's see here. This one right here. Let's read a little bit of this guy, because he done up dirty too. An Arizona man was arrested after allegedly stealing from a dead woman, driving around with her body in the car. And this dude, 52, he looks way old, man. Y'all so-called white people don't age too well. Moved the body of the 55-year-old woman from her hotel to her house and left her tucked in her bed. God damn, bro. He then allegedly stole her jewelry, her Mercedes, and a handgun. The victim, identified as Cindy Miller, was in a hotel room. Yep, she was there with this guy with Launcher, or whatever his name is, where he claimed the two had taken drugs together between the night of August 4th and the morning of August 5th, according to, you know, they get high. Miller may have died of an overdose, though the official cause of death is still under investigation. But he stole all her shit, though. Launcher told police he tried to perform CPR when Miller became unresponsive, but she had no pulse. Rather than calling 911, he claimed he went into a self-preservation mode. He then dressed her, put her body in the passenger seat of a car, and drove her home. So, well, if y'all was able to just go home to her house like that, what the fuck was you doing at a motel or hotel or whatever? It's crazy work, bro. It's crazy work. After reaching her residence, he carried her inside, placed her in a bed, and covered her with a comforter. He also reportedly stole the car along with other belongings. He sold her diamond ring, diamond necklace to a pawn shop. Well, you went in survival mode at that point, nigga. You was just, So that's how you know he's a fucking liar. And that's Esau too. Another thing, he let me get that one in Psalms 58. All the attributes of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is coming forth. The Lord is showing him to be who he really is. Psalms 58:3, the wicked are estranged from the womb. Yeah, you came out of your mama being wicked. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. See? Now let's go to 2 Thessalonians 2:3, the one I was quoting, because this is him being revealed. Because the Lord can't come until the man of sin, the son of perdition, be revealed, man. And that's the so-called white race. Esau became a race of people, just like Jacob became a race of people. Just like Elam, just like, Moab or Ammon. All these biblical characters are still here on the planet. 2 Thessalonians 2:3, it says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first. And the falling away is the falling away of the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Falling away from our customs, our dietary law. Just the law, statutes, and commandments of the Bible. Just our whole way of living. In these lands, calling ourselves American. We're calling ourselves French or German, wherever we're scattered to. We're taking on the customs of the so-called white man, wherever he is, wherever he took us to on those ships during slavery. But it goes on to say, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. And that man of sin, the son of perdition, is Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Because verse 4, it says, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he is God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. And who gave you a white God? When you Google God right now, who gave you that image? The so-called white man. When you Google angels right now, who gave you the image of the little white baby angels with their pee-pee showing, the little wings on their back? The so-called white man. When you pull up the Son of God, and what do you see on Google? You see this effeminate-looking white guy. Who gave you that? The so-called white man. They know full well that the scriptures describe the Lord as being a dark, melanated man, woolly hair, deep voice, but they gave you this soft-ass so-called white man. You can Google Ezekiel, Amos, Isaiah, Daniel, Jeremiah. I don't care which one of the prophets that you pull up. You can pull up King David. You can go in there and you can pull up Mary, or you can pull up Esther. You can pull whoever you pull up. If you Google it right now, you're gonna see so-called white people pull in those images because they whitewash the images. That's what a deceiver would do. That word devil goes off into a deceiver. Cause see, he got people thinking that this particular scripture, or people would think that there's a red guy underground named the devil with a pitchfork. He's laughing and giggling as soon as you get there because you've been so bad in life, and he's the controller of the gates of hell, and he's everybody just floating in this lake of fire. The skeletons are floating up inside down, up bobbing up and down. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what the so-called white. He gave you that image, where he gave the people that mindset that this is what's going on underneath the planet. There's a burning place, and that's not in the Bible nowhere. So he whitewashed everything. He gave the whole world a story, or a complete goddamn lie, about who he is and who everyone else is, for that matter. He is the man of sin, the son of perdition, and he's being revealed in these last days. Everybody's starting to see who the wicked is. Everywhere these people are, it's chaotic. Everything that they put together is deathly. It's destruction that's involved with it. Look at the planet. Look at the earth. Look at the crime. Look at the violence. This all comes from him running the world. Because if they were really Christians and they were really living by the scriptures and they really live by the law, statutes, and commandments, they can cut a bunch of bullshit, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to the crimes that these people be committing. Like this guy that stabbed up this lady, at the H.I.M machine. They should have put his ass down, and it should be shown. The men of the city should get involved with stoning his ass, like how the scripture says, stone his ass, man. Put his ass to death on national TV, and then these people would know. See, these Americans, these Babylonians, these so-called white people, they'll talk shit about those Arabs, and the way that they, they call them savages because of the way that they handle law in their countries. But guess what? You don't hear about all that chaotic shit going on in their countries like how you hear about here. You know why? Because them people over there know their asses will be put to death. So there's fear there. And the Lord has certain laws where you put their asses to death, where to drive out that evil or that wickedness out of that particular, out of the community, man. Anyway, though, and that's pretty much about it. I just wanted to get a quick lesson in on revealing Esau, because that's a part of prophecy. We have to, cut into his ass, here and there. Okay, but he says, what else they got in here? That's crazy work, bro. He carried her inside, placed her in her bed, and covered her with a comforter, bro. God damn. Hey, Esau is vicious, boy. To avoid suspicion or anyone finding out about her death, he used her phone to send text messages to multiple women. However, her family figured out something was wrong. Her family members told police Miller had not been responsive for several days. The police department responded. They found her in the residence. They also reported several of the deceased's personal belongings to be missing. Detectives used flock license plates, see? And they gonna, that's Esau too. That's his technology too. And see, he's fooling the people into thinking like, see, we need those flock cameras so we can fight crime. Well, you could have still found out about this without those flock cameras, man. But they gonna, they threw this in the article for a reason. Because they want you to think that these flock cameras are for your good, and they're not, man. Them flock cameras just to spy on you American people. Okay, it says he was arrested after he tried to flee. He had a pretrial that came from an earlier domestic violence. Yeah, okay, so yeah, you had an earlier domestic violence case. See? Talking about he went into survival mode or some shit. Get your ass out of here. That's Esau, man. Lying ass. Crazy. Okay, well, they holding him without bond. Well, okay, yeah, well, I guess when you got another crime on your own deck, Had he not had another crime on deck, you know what I'm saying, and, you know, was supposed to have been wearing that ankle monitor, he probably would have, they'd have gave him a bond. They got him for second-degree burglary, second-degree trafficking, stolen property, unlawful use of means of transport, possession of a weapon by prohibited person. Yeah, he wasn't supposed to have that weapon. Abandoning and concealing a dead body. Hell no, bro. Her phone still hasn't been recovered, but the phone records show she was using it in her home and her vehicle. Surveillance footage and home security cameras also help with the initial investigation. Okay, bet. Anyway, you see what it is, man. Okay, it says they still processing what happened. One of her daughters. My mother was a presence unlike any other. She was known and loved by many. I wonder if they found drugs in her system. Was she really doing drugs with this nigga? A mother of three, one recently lost by little brother Zach. Yeah, she could have been doing some dope. Who was about to turn 21 and was lost to a motorcycle accident. And a charismatic, joyous woman, an avid pool player, scuba diver, painter, and entrepreneur. She was the light of the lives of everyone she met. The daughter noted his lies, stating that, you know, he's here to help and figure this out. While we're learning, everything that he did was just unimaginably painful. And he's not a safe person. He's dangerous person. He's hurt my family beyond belief. Well, that's Esau, man. He's a dangerous man in general. You know, and the Lord is coming to put this man down, and that's what we need, man. The world needs a break from Esau. You know? Look at this guy. Look at him. It's crazy work right there, boy. Crazy work. And when he get down on his luck, he's even worse, man. He doesn't handle getting down on his luck well. You know, he turns to complete. They're already criminals, but they take it to a whole another level, man. But anyway, I'm gonna end out there. Pray that the lesson was edifying. Kwame Yasha Allah and the Bible Ball.